Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. This video is a book review of A Game of Hide and Seek by Elizabeth Taylor, first published in 1951. I would say this is one of her more known novels, and so I was quite excited to get to this. Now this book is about these two main characters. So we have Harriet and Vesey, and we first meet them when they're teenagers and they're kind of hanging out together, and Harriet falls in love with Vesey. And then Vesey ends up going off to university and Harriet is left alone and she ends up getting married and living her own life. And then we meet them again when they're older and they come together again and they realise that they're still very much in love with each other. But it's too late. Harriet is married and she has a child, and Vesey lives a very different lifestyle to her. As I said earlier, this is one of her more well-known novels, so I was quite excited to get to it. Now this book is in different parts, and the first part, I have to say, it was a bit of a lull, because it's them when they're younger, they're teenagers, and they're kind of teenage love, I guess, and it felt very slow. Usually with Elizabeth Taylor, I read it really fast, and I'm just so addicted to it, but I wasn't with this at the beginning at all. I didn't like the characters. Well, any of them, to be honest. Didn't like them all. And I really didn't understand what Harriet saw in Vesey. I was like, what on earth is she seeing this lad? I was like, no, he's horrible. And then part 2 came round. And part 2 was amazing. Part 2 was the Elizabeth Taylor that I know and love, and I fell in love with the characters. Of course I did. I fell in love with Vesey and Harriet and their love story, and I fell for it all, and I read part 2 in one go, and that's the Elizabeth Taylor that I know and love. So I think this book will be better for me when I come back to reread it, because you know me, I'm a proper rereader. I prefer rereading to reading. There's a lot of re's in there, isn't there? I prefer rereading to reading. So I think next time I come back to it, I know that those amazing characters are in there and I've just got to keep reading to find them out. So I think I'll appreciate them a lot more the next time round. The other thing about this is the chapters were really, really long. Like some chapters in this were like 100 pages. And it was like, what? And I struggle with that because I like my chapter to finish, and that's where I put my bookmark, and that's where I'm coming back to the next time. I like that finishness. I don't like to be up in the air and stick my bookmark here, there and everywhere, and then just to be in the middle of something or a scene and I'm like, what is going on? I didn't like that. It's quite unusual for Elizabeth Taylor. All the Elizabeth Taylors that I've read before, they've been kind of a good normal sized chapter, not 100-page chapter. So this book for me was quite a mixed bag. I didn't like the size of the chapters, and I didn't like the first part. Well, it's not that I didn't like it, I just found it a slog, and I was reading it a lot slower than I usually would read Elizabeth Taylor. However, the second half makes up for this book in bucketfuls. It was just incredible. So in the end, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think the next time that I come back to read this, now that I know what is to come and now that I have fallen for the characters, I think that part 1 will feel different for me. So I think it'll be a 4, maybe even a 4.5 star book. But for now, sitting at 3.5. But I would definitely say it's worth the read. If, like me, particularly, you want to read all the Elizabeth Taylor in the world because you think she's amazing. So that is it for my book review of A Game of Hide and Seek by Elizabeth Taylor. If you have anything to chat to me about in terms of Elizabeth Taylor and her work, or A Game of Hide and Seek, or anything to do with modern classics, love me some modern classics, then let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I shall see you soon for the next one. Bye for now.